I mean, Say Anything Else, Madden, that was huge.
Can we talk Band in a Bubble?
Let's do it.
I remember vividly seeing it. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. This band is recording an album in a bubble in New York City.
Yeah.
Was it good for you guys to write an album in that bubble, you think?
Oh, we didn't write an album in the bubble.
No?
No, anybody who knows anything about...
Cartel doing what Cartel does.
In a glass house. We can't leave.
That was not how we were initially approached either. This is actually a great story. Brendan Urie is by far the best singer I've ever heard. The funny thing about Honestly, specifically on Chroma, is... So I guess I'll see you around.
Coming fresh off Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Did not think I'd be saying that in 2025. How is that for you getting back up on that stage?
Yeah, Warped Tour is always a different experience, than most festivals, I think, just because of... Like, it's more of the fraternity aspect in the, in the background of it. Because we've all, like, paid the dues before, of going out and grinding it out every summer. But this one's different because it's just 1 day, well, 2 days, I guess, technically. But you're only actually playing the 1 day, and you don't have to, jump in a van and, and haul ass to the next city or anything. So, yeah, I mean, this one was different for us because we played at night. We closed down our stage, which I can safely say we've never done on Warped Tour before.
Do you prefer that, you think?
I mean, from a heat standpoint, sure.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's California, so it's not that hot. But, yeah, I think we like it because, you get lights, and we had, like, a really cool, like, production setup. So that really comes off better in the dark,
If it came back again next year, would you want to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean... playing the show is one thing. I mean, obviously, that's always a good time. But I like just like hanging out with all the buds backstage, like people we don't get to see all the time.
Right.
That's for me the most fun part.
I wasn't able to go, but did you feel like the camaraderie was still there after all these years?
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels like such a community.
It is. It really is. I mean, our genre is very, like insulated. There's not, obviously you have like My Chem and, Fall Out Boy and Panic. Like there's bands that have like transcended and, kind of aren't really, but they're still associated with the scene, but like the vast majority of their fans are not like scene kids.
Right.
So there is an element of that happens, but for the rest of the bands, I mean, it's all just like, this is our crew, so that's the cool part. We all, we're all cheerleaders.
Were there any sets that you were looking forward to checking out?
Yeah, we got to see 311 yesterday. That was, I mean, they're not necessarily part of this group, but that was the first, like, my first Warped Tour that I ever went to, like, 311 was playing. I think I went because 311 was playing and got exposed to all of this. So it was a really cool, like, full circle moment. And I got to meet the guitar player last night.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, I fanboyed out just a little bit. Yeah, management can definitely attest to that. I think I held it cool though. I wasn't a punisher, so that's good.
Do you have any favorite Warped Tour memories from back on the original run?
When we played it?
Yeah.
It's the camaraderie aspect. Just the grind of every day and knowing that everybody is in the suck. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but that was a grueling tour.
100 degrees, the rain, the weather.
Yeah, you're braving all of it. I mean, it's early mornings and late nights, and then like, you got to get to the next city every day, and that's a grind in and of itself, so like we were fortunate enough to be able to do it on a bus our first time. But we, a couple of the years before we did the whole thing, we had done a few weekend stints, like 3 or 4 days that they kind of threw at us. And we did that in a van and trailer. And it was nuts. I mean, I think we drove from like I'm not being at all like hyperbolic to say that like it's almost like they're trying to kill people with the routing if you're not in a bus.
Oh, really?
It feels like that a little bit. Like you take it personally. Just because of the I mean, like I said, we did it for 4 days. And I remember we drove from Atlanta to Detroit to start it. And then we drove, I think it was something crazy. Like I remember our first show was in Detroit and our last show was in like St. Pete, Florida. And like, I think that was within like 2 or 3 days, which I mean, is literally like, it's the opposite ends of the map of the country. So like, it was bonkers.
Did you get a driver for that?
No.
Oh, you guys drove yourselves?
Yeah. In a van. Yeah. Van and trailer. That was like the first year that we like, kind of jumped on and played a few shows that they invited us to play, which was awesome. The following year, I think, is when we did the actual whole tour. But we did that in a bus simply because of that experience. It's like, there's no way we're going to be able to survive if we do this in a van. Like, bands who did that, like, I tip my hat.
Yeah.
Like, pass the hat around, let me, like, put some money in it because that's, like, impressive.
What shift would you take when you were driving?
We traded off every 4 hours. So like nobody really got completely screwed. But I was kind of always, if I got into a groove, I would just drive. I always felt more comfortable driving than somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
I'd put my life in their hands. Overnight shifts, I wouldn't do that though. But if it was during the day and it was a long drive, I'd probably just smash it myself.
Because you really need to take care of your voice especially you don't want to get sick on something like that.
Also true.
How important was a festival like Warped Tour back then for the music, for people to break out of?
I mean, that was, I think, the launching ground for a lot of bands. I mean, you know, you had obviously the big bands who had all their fans, and like there's a place that everybody could meet up, and you know, you could kind of draw off of each other's fans. I mean, you'd have metal bands and, you know, ska bands and punk bands all in the same festival. Like that doesn't happen typically, you know, especially with traveling around. So you get all of your fans in one place every summer, and that was cool. But I think what's even more unique about it is just the bands that were able to, you just kind of follow the Warped Tour. They weren't even playing, but they would just show up and like walk the lines and show people their music, and able to have, you know, that experience. And a lot of times Warped Tour would even let them come and play. They were like, hey, we've seen you out there hustling. We recognize that. Like, do you want to play the next show? And yeah, like that sort of stuff just doesn't really happen before that. And it especially doesn't happen now. So Warped Tour is a cool little breeding ground for that.
I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. Real quick, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is making the primetime game of the NFL even bigger, with a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets every game day. That's right, $2 million. Here's how it works. Opt in and place an anytime TD bet in any primetime NFL game using your profit boost. And if the player you pick scores either the first or the last touchdown of the game, you'll earn a share of $2 million in bonus bets. $2 million. First touchdown, you're in. Last touchdown, you're in. Both touchdowns, even better. It's just one more reason to bet on the NFL with FanDuel. So whether you have a feeling on that opening drive or you're banking on that clutch finish, now's the time to get into the game. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So download the FanDuel app today. It's going to be linked down below. And if you want to support this podcast, check out FanDuel. What's up, guys? Real quick, this episode is brought to you by Aonic. Aonic provides clean hydration crafted with magnesium, electrolytes, and real fruit juice. Made for those looking to get the most out of hydration. We've got some sparkling passion fruit, some sparkling orange, and a sparkling raspberry. Aonic is developing the world's most advanced ecosystem for functional nutrition to make healthy living enjoyable. Aonic delivers pure science-driven nutrition, and every formula targets a clear need and delivers benefits you can feel. What I love most about it is that there's no pixie dusting of ingredients, which means they only use clinical validated dosages. Plus, it's third-party verified. Independent labs test every batch and they publish the results. It's got premium natural ingredients from real cacao and vanilla in Aonic Fuel to real fruit juice in Aonic Revive. Plus, the best part, low calories, baby. Only 15 calories in this whole can. Delicious taste, zero artificial, low in sugar and calories. No caffeine or added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no GMOs. It's just the right amount of fruit juice compared to sweetness. It's really good. We've got some chromium, some B vitamins, some zinc. I love drinking it after a hike. I love drinking it after pickleball. It's really, really good. So if you want to try it, it's going to be linked down below. Stay hydrated, my friends. Now back to the podcast. What is a festival like When We Were Young do for the music scene, and how does that affect you guys and your legacy?
I mean, we've only played it once. We got to do, the Chroma play the whole thing there. Well, almost the whole thing. We didn't have quite enough time. It's a long record. But that was awesome. I think that proved to us that we could still bring a lot of people to the table and have a fan base to really like kind of draw off of, which has really been like honestly the inspiration for everything that we have going on now. So
yeah.
Like that was, I think the same way that Warped Tour was important for us in the day, that, you know, When We Were Young kind of established the same thing this go round. And honestly, like for being real, like I think Warped Tour is back because they saw When We Were Young and like, wait, we can do this. These are like all the bands that we like helped grow.
There's such a demand for it.
For sure, yeah. And Warped Tour has the branding. I mean, you know, it's like, it's in Blink-182 songs, you know?
Right. Do you think that if they did a full 30, 40-day run again,
you'd be hard pressed to get bands to even do that. I think we're all old enough now. We're like, ooh, that hurts.
We're weekend guys.
Like my soul hurts thinking about that. Like it's fun, but it's also like that's a young man's game.
What do you think that would do for something with your voice? Because you sound incredible now.
Thank you.
Which is really insane because as we look at some other talents, voices get strained over the years.
Sure.
How is your voice now, even after this weekend?
Honestly, I mean, it's more a little ragged out just from hanging out and talking with everybody than it is playing the show. And and just, the sleep schedule being off. I have a 9-year-old at home, so like I'm used to waking up early. So my body clock wakes me up at 5:30 every day out here, and
No matter
what.
what.
I hate that. I just have to roll over and go back to sleep. Then honestly, it's just like knowing how to take care of your voice. I think, gosh, I mean, probably about 12 years ago, I kind of figured out how to fix, certain problems and understand what I was doing wrong. That would
In terms of singing?
Yeah, that would cause my voice to kind of go out. I mean, the environmental factors around you don't have as much to do with voice loss or strain as it does with how you sing. So I had a couple of good opportunities to get some good coaching, and then like I take like a supplement stuff. There's this stuff called Vocal Mist that is like it looks like an inhaler. It's funny, I have like a little like small Pelican box that I take through security, and one of the things, actually, it looks exactly like a bong.
Oh, of course.
Because like you fill it up the bottom with water and you like sing through it, and there's like it's like reverse, I don't know, I'm not a vocal doctor or anything, but it's like reverse pressure, and it helps warm up your voice and like get rid of any like tension or things like that. But it straight up looks like a bong. And like, I obviously got pulled from security. I was like, here we go. The guy like opens it, and he's like, this isn't a bong, is it? I'm like, nah, it's a bunch of vocal stuff. And it, it had like, my Vocal Mist packets, and like there's an inhaler and like this other, contraption. And he's like, yeah, that definitely doesn't look like bong stuff. He let me through, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of keep, knowing how to take care of yourself in those certain ways.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can we go back 20 years?
Let's go.
I mean, we're at the 20-year anniversary of Chroma.
Mm-hmm.
True. When you think back to those times, did you think that album would hold so much power for what it was?
We were pretty bullish on it, to be honest, like when we were recording it. You just kind of know, I think. I mean, it was our first album, so we were probably a little, higher on our own supply. But we definitely thought we had something that we felt was really, really good. And I think, as an artist, if you're not saying that, then you didn't work hard enough, or you shouldn't have recorded yet. It's kind of thing. Like, don't just put something out to put it out. So, like, from those terms, I don't think we were being like, super egotistical about it. But I definitely feel, and I think every band member would agree that we all felt we had something special. And it was just a matter of like, did other people think it was special, Did you know
what you wanted out of that album?
There was a lot of forethought that went into it. It's the age-old thing, like you have your whole life to write your first album, and we had demoed basically every song. We had played everything. The only one that didn't get demoed, honestly, was Q&A. That was a really like interesting process how that came down, and it's funny because it's like one of the more famous songs from the record. I think just because it's so long and like we did so many things with medleys and whatnot.
Was that just in the studio?
I mean, it was definitely premeditated. We talked about what we wanted to do, and I mean, Goodbye Sky Harbor from Jimmy Eat World was definitely like an archetype because of how they sort of like evolved the end of that song and that record. We wanted to do something like that, but kind of a little bit more engaging and less like production trick, sort of oriented, make it more of part of the song. So yeah, we were doing a lot of the thinking about that in rehearsals beforehand. Like, all right, we're going to do 4 times where it's like the piano and it does this thing, and then we break down and then we bring this song back. Like, there's, elements of all that we had figured out, but we had never heard it happen before we were tracking it. And it was really funny because, Zach and Kenneth, the guys who produced it and mixed it. So Zach was in the studio in the control room mixing Q while we were finishing recording A. So we were recording on a separate computer and like bringing that in as Zach was finishing mixing, and we just like dropping files into his session while he was mixing it. So like we literally didn't hear it done until he was like until it was printing the mix, which subsequently we were jumping on an airplane to fly out here to LA to master it the next day. So there's like no revisions. Just
you guys wanted to be there for the mastering?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was I mean, I think it was, we're going to LA to master our record, it was a lot of things we hadn't done before, and just felt like it would be really cool to do that. Gavin Larson, who had just mastered American Idiot. he mastered Chroma, so we wanted to like, kind of be a part of it and be in the mix. Plus it's just like you finish it and you get to all high five and, go out to dinner with the label and stuff like that. So, but we did have to fly with tape because it was all mixed down to tape.
Yeah.
Which putting tape through X-ray machines is like a very bad thing to do.
Doesn't it like ruin the tape?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, we're rolling in with these tapes, and apparently this is a TSA podcast experience, but we had to convince the guy, like, please, you don't understand, like, this is our album, like, if this goes through an X-ray machine, like, can you please hand inspect it? And they're like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, it worked out, but we were very nervous because if it went through the X-ray machine, we're kind of screwed.
Could have been lost.
Yeah, the whole thing could have been done just right there.
How is the relationship with the major label at that point? Because this is your debut major label album.
Well, that actually came out on Militia Group, so that was before we had gotten upstreamed. It was about a year later. Well, not even that. It was about a year later from that time where we mastered it, where we got upstreamed into Epic, and they re-released it. So this was just like our indie label that we were on at the time.
Got it.
Yeah, which they thought they had something too, I think.
What was the initial response from everybody?
I mean, I think it was a little bit more subdued than what you would think, or expect from an album like that. I mean, everybody thought like it was cool. They're like, oh yeah, it's good. But I don't know if they were just playing it cool or what or something. But we were also like kind of a little bit of an oddball on that label where they had more like, I would say like, actual traditional old school emo bands. Like Copeland was on that label. Great band. But they had like Appleseed Cast and, Branston and a bunch of, those sorts of bands. And then here we are, like, the pop rock, pop punk band just coming in and hitting you. Like, it wasn't necessarily their forte, but we had enough relationships with them that they wanted to work with us. And, I think they enjoyed it, but I definitely think it was a little bit of a means to an end for them. We're like, oh, yeah, this could be like, something for them, because they even had a sticker on our first the Ransom EP that we released to them that said your new favorite guilty pleasure. That was on like their marketing sticker. I'm like, okay, guilty pleasures, I don't know how I feel about that. But,
I guess
but whatever, I guess if you're a cool guy, I guess it kind of rolls into that, right?
When you finished laying the vocal tracks on Honestly, how did you feel as a singer, as an artist?
The funny thing about Honestly, specifically on Chroma, is in order to get the budget to go and record at the studio from the Militia Group, we went in and recorded a demo of Honestly with Zach and Kenneth. I mean, I say demo, but we fully, it was full tilt. We redid it, or we it wasn't just
scratch tracks. It was like, let's get it.
Yeah, we fully recorded it in their like the biggest room in Tree Sound, which has had like Elton John and like Outkast, like tons of artists. So like we were in rarefied air in that place, but we went in and recorded that whole thing, and the whole from beginning to end, and then released it to the label just so they could say like, oh yeah, this band's good enough to actually throw a budget at them so they can record here. And we used the vocal takes from the demo. That session went onto the actual album. We re-recorded the music so that it would all like sound more succinct, because we didn't like we didn't do everything the same way we did with that Honestly demo. We had recorded in Studio A everything, but then on the rest of the record, we definitely couldn't afford Studio A, so we just did drums in Studio A, and then everything else in a different place. So we needed to redo all the music, but I was like, hey, can the vocals just fly? And they were like, yeah. I was like, because I mean, I did it pretty well the first time, like, can we just leave those? Like, yeah. So we just boop.
Wow.
Just copy pasted them into the new session.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when you get it right, don't try to do it. We've always had this like kind of mantra is like, if it ain't broke, don't broke it. So it wasn't broke.
Was that album placed in like Hollister's, Abercrombie's? Was it in? What did that kind of stuff do for your band? Did it help elevate you guys?
Maybe, I don't know. I think my personal experience with it was more just, being able to go to the mall with my mom
and show it off.
And she's just, and like, because we would shop at Hollister. I mean, times for the times. And going in, like, she was like, "Is this your band?" I'm like, "Yeah." What? And she, she's like, "Did you know this is his band?" They're like, "Oh no, cool." Like, probably everybody thought she was full of shit or something. But yeah, it was awesome.
Do you remember when you got placed in the Madden soundtrack?
I do.
What was that like?
Crazy. Because, I mean, we did like a whole press junket around it, and it's like Rise Against and Taking Back Sunday were also on it. So it's just like us three bands like sitting in this back, lounge area waiting to get like go and do like our interviews for Madden. And we're just kind of like, all right, cool. I guess we're all on a football soundtrack. Like, you guys play football, you know? Like, but that, I mean, we've had so many different people come up to us over the years and like, dude, I heard you guys on Madden. Like, say anything else, dude, that's awesome. And we're like, yeah. I mean, that might have done more than anything, like as far as like Hollister, Abercrombie, any of that.
Because that was like a soundtrack. Anytime you pop on the game, the song comes on.
Madden soundtrack was huge for a lot of people, I think.
Really big.
Yeah.
What about the John Tucker Must Die soundtrack?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Because that was a really big movie.
Yeah, absolutely. What's funny is the Wind Up Records, who did our third album, they were the ones who, I guess, put together the soundtrack for John Tucker Must Die. So they grabbed that song and used it then, just because they were fans of the band. Mm-hmm. The A&R guy from Wind Up was like very early onto our band, and he came and saw us play because they were based in New York, and he came and saw us play in this like small little place in Montclair, New Jersey. I forget the name of the
Montclair. I went to Montclair State University.
Did you go?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there was like a I hesitate to say like a coffee house type vibe. It was a really small joint that we went and played.
I feel like I was there.
You might have.
Who were the other bands that were there?
I mean, maybe on that tour, it might have been like either like A Small Victory or like My American Heart and All Rights Reserved.
All Rights Reserved. They're from my town.
There it is. So that's what it would have been.
Wow.
Yeah. Here we are.
That's crazy. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Synchronicities, dude.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was. So he was actually at that show. Our A&R that would be for Wind Up was at that show, and it was funny because he's like obviously like an older guy, like kind of sticking out in the crowd because it's all, you know, a bunch of teenagers and, you know, early 20s, and then there's a dude, you know, 30-something-year-old dude with, you know, a goatee standing in the back. I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know? And he came up after the show. He's like, hey man, you know, my name's Mike, and you know you know, I'm a big fan of your band. I'm like, cool. And he was like, so how firm is the deal with Militia Group? Are you guys like signed? I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, we signed the contract. So yeah, we're there. And he's like, I'd love to like, you know, talk with you guys more, maybe like figure out how you guys can be on our label. I was like, well, what label? And he's like, Wind Up. And I was like, the Creed guys? Like, Creed label wants us? I mean, like, all right, yeah, Creed's massive, but it was like kind of funny. But then obviously, what was it, like 3 or 4 years after that, like we ended up being on Wind Up. So I'm a big believer in like the universe and synchronicities and kind of everything, just sort of always sort of circling back, like playing Montclair, New Jersey, and talking about it in an interview with you.
Would opportunities like that come around a lot? Would people come up to you trying to poach you and do things like that a lot?
I mean, there was always opportunities that, you know, people would, you know, present to us in different ways. I mean, I wouldn't say it happened a lot, but there's times where you notice where like it feels like this is important. Like there's a lot of relationships that, you know, manifest organically from situations like that.
Did you try and finesse those things yourself?
It depended on what it was. Like you kind of get a vibe off of people, you know, and like if it felt legitimate and also felt like, oh, this is cool, like I would love to be a part of that, then it's like let me have you talk to our managers, you know?
Right.
And if it wasn't, be like, oh yeah, cool, like hit me up on MySpace or something, you know, whatever it was at the time.
MySpace.
Right? Let's throw it back.
Did you like the era when everyone was putting their songs on their profiles and whatnot?
Oh yeah.
Was that a big push for your band?
We had a lot of plays on MySpace. Like we really like hit that at just the right time, which is unfortunate because like if all of those MySpace plays had been able to kind of grandfather into, you know, Spotify or anything like that, like we'd have a lot. Our numbers would be a lot higher. But yeah, no, I mean there was so many people. I mean, honestly, video was, you know, basically a MySpace video, right? You know? And then, you know, the selfie action, all that with Polaroids, which is funny, but.
Did MySpace Records ever reach out to you?
No, we were already signed by the time that came to fruition, I believe. But you know, 20s are hazy.
Right. What was your favorite market to perform in?
Because, you know, we're from Atlanta. So Atlanta's a big city, but not really considered, you know, like it's not in the same like air as like New York and LA, right? So like if you're an artist or in, you know, any sort of entertainment sort of pathway, like you're gonna say like New York and LA is like the, oh yeah, we're performing here. Mm-hmm. Those are all, I mean, and they still are like markets that you just kind of feel a little bit extra like, oh yeah, we're gonna really give it for this one. But we always had like really, really good shows. Like Chicago is a great place for us. Philly was amazing. We've had some awesome shows in Philly. So I think just like over the years where you kind of have these memories come back from different venues, different people you've met, just kind of like brotherhoods you establish with various bands. Like Philly's special to us because of the starting line, and like we know a lot of people there because we've played a lot of shows with them, but then also them being based in Philly, like we just kind of have a little crew in Philly just because of them.
Yeah.
So like, you know, different places like that around, like over the years that we've been able to curate and establish. It's just, they're kind of all special now.
Who are your favorite bands to tour with?
Got to say starting line, obviously. They really kind of, we were just getting upstreamed into Epic, and Chroma was kind of just starting to take off when we toured with them. And they're very much like brothers for us. They're just kind of like, hey, let us show you the ropes. And like we learned a lot from their touring camp and like how they did things. And we were just starting to like have guitar techs or something like that. And learning the ropes from them was, just like a priceless experience. And then Newfound Glory, I mean, they were kind of the same tip, but I mean, they were kind of like you guys were like a band that we really jammed out to, you know? So like being able to become friends with them over the years is obviously like something very cool. So, I mean, we toured with them a lot as well. So, they're great. I mean, honestly, like the best relationships we've had were from like bands like really early, like the Receiving and the Sirens. We went on a tour with them and As Tall as Lions.
Yeah.
I think it was like our second tour that we ever really went on. Third, actually. But it was, you know, we're playing to like 50 people, 150 people. And then we play in like Long Island or Boston, where those two bands are from, and like had bigger shows. And was like, oh, this is awesome. And they come down to Atlanta and they had a big show. But then you go everywhere and you're not really necessarily having big shows everywhere. So it's, when you have the smaller bands and the early tours, like grinding it out, you really get more tightly knit because you're kind of all in. It's kind of the Warped Tour thing. You're all in the same experience, so you're really having to go through the same stuff together, and that's bonds that don't really break ever.
When did you start to really feel like I could do this? Cartel was a thing. People were really enjoying it.
I mean, we all like dropped out of college and kind of gave our parents like, look, we're just going to do this for like one semester and see how it goes. You know, just like, hey, okay, you know, pump the brakes, don't get too mad. And we got signed like the summer that we did that. So before we had even gotten through the semester or even started what would be that semester that we were taking off, we were already signed. So it was like, hey, look, we're good. We're signed. We're doing it. That started to feel like, yeah, we can do this. I feel like to really succeed in this industry, you have to be a little bit delusional because it's crazy to just kind of jump into that. So I would say like when it actually started to feel like very real for us would have been kind of over that winter break between the Acceptance tour, which was like the September fall tour of 2005 when we released Chroma initially, and then the Starting Line tour, because we picked up our booking agent on the Acceptance tour and then got the Starting Line tour almost immediately afterwards. And then it was kind of like, okay, now we're playing real venues with like, you know, a real bands in a bus. Like, okay, like this is starting to be real. And that year, 2006 was Warped Tour. That was the Newfound Glory tour in the fall. Like a very consequential year for our band.
For the Newfound Glory tour, what album were they cycling?
I believe that was Coming Home.
Oh, okay.
That was right as that was coming out.
And are you seeing more and more people like come to your socials, or was there socials at that time?
That's a great question, man. I think it was still MySpace.
But you were seeing more people buy the merch, show up, the shows for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, you start to see more people actually singing the words rather than just like bobbing their heads like, okay, this is cool. Like you see people actually knowing it. And, you know, it wasn't as easy then. You had to buy a record, you know, or CD, I guess, to listen to it or hear it on MySpace or something, you know. So it really took effort to know lyrics for a band.
What was considered a good show for you?
Just any show?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, for me, like if I could look out in the audience and see people interacting and maybe see them push around, jump around a little bit, like that's where it really felt like, oh, okay, yeah, this is something. I mean, it's still like that, you know, you play to some crowds and they might be singing, but they're just kind of sitting there and you're like, okay, that's one thing. But you see people like, you know, getting all their hands up and everything. That's where it really like kind of makes me want to jump in the crowd and do more stuff, you know.
What was bus life like?
Bus life is awesome. Like some people like hate on it and, you know, different strokes, different folks. But for me, like that was the dream. That's the top of the pyramid for a band. It's like, I don't have to drive anymore. I get to sleep on a bus. We got a place to hang. Like, coming from where we came from, like, that was, easy street, when you could get on a bus. Now it's just survival, but, it's like, it's kind of necessary. We can't really do it any other way. But yeah, I mean, it's cool because you're just like, you're on there with your bros and, your crew, and it's like, it feels like family, and, it's your home, and, you get to like get to the cities. I don't know. It just feels like an adventure.
Was there a come down when you would get out of that life to go back to normal life where you were just living?
I wouldn't say it's a come down. It's like an adjustment, because for me, I mean, I was an only child. I got married pretty young, and, and she worked. I mean, she was a nurse, so she was like, night shifting at the time. So, I would basically be home alone. So, I mean, honestly, I felt more at home on the bus with people, getting to sort of introvert and be by myself and be like, experience other people, like, kind of voyeuristically a little bit, and then get home and I'm like, okay, it's just me and my dog and my Xbox, which was cool. I mean, it was fine, but I've always kind of been that. We have a lyric on the new record that really kind of sums it up. It's like, maybe I'm a loner that hangs out a lot. And like, that is quintessentially me.
Yeah. When you like go back to relearn the first album that you have to figure out for When We Were Young, are you hearing things like, why did we write it like that?
I've had the self critique moments for sure, but I try to take it easy, just knowing it's like, dude, you were 20, when you wrote that, like, yeah. There's gonna be a vast difference between 20 and 40 and how you're gonna feel about life and think about life and discuss it.
You said new album.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh yeah, I just finished a new album. It's in mixing process right now, so it's
the
almost
new
done.
Cartel album. Do you have an expected release date?
It'll be next year. We don't really know. I mean, it won't be like super early because we're still probably doing some Chroma stuff then. But since that's getting re-released as well, but I don't know, probably late spring next year.
What does the sound like?
It rips. It's I really went back to, we're talking about all the older bands and stuff. Like, I really went back to my roots on this one, and like, I got inspired. And I've always said, people have asked us for records. It's been 13 years since we've had a new record. And I've always said, like, I'm never going to write a record just to write a record. Like, I have to want to write a record. And with, all the things that Cartel's been able to do over the last couple years between, we did, Andrew McMahon Dashboard tour for a little while. And then, we toured with Hawthorne Heights last fall with Amberlin and Thursday, and then at Seosin. And then When We Were Young, and some of these festivals, and just seeing the crowd response, it's just sort of like, I started to feel this little spark ignite, and felt like, oh, like, I actually love doing this. Like, you forget that you love something if you go away from it long enough, and it was just this organic thing that just sort of happened from being able to, experience it with fans, play old songs, and have that same, like, just see that look in their eye. Like, people are genuinely enjoying this, and there's a unique connection that happens, and there's something, metaphysical, spiritual, chemical that just sort of kind of got in my head. I'm like, I think I need to do this again. And started like kind of listening to other bands, like Story So Far, 4 Years Strong, like Knuckle Puck. Like, there's a vast array of bands that's just sort of coming in on my algorithm. I'm cutting the grass at home, super like dad life stuff. And then, you hear a song and I'm like, am I moshing cutting grass right now? Like, what's happening? And started to kind of understand like where I could derive some inspiration, like what makes me want to write music, because I'm like, oh, I want to do that, and then have my own synthesized version of it. So yeah, like all those bands really like kind of honestly like sparked it for me. And sat and wrote a record in like January, February of this year, just smashed it out. It's the quickest that process has ever gone. It's the most like, I don't know, just fluid like process that it's ever been, because sometimes you kind of get stuck on yourself and you don't really know, like, oh, I don't know if I want to say that or do this. And I think, the time that we've taken off and the perspective I have now from a lot of different things, just living, it's completely candid, uncensored. Like, this is just how I feel about things. And also, like, musically, like, it's the hardest record Cartel's ever done. Like, it rips. It's the most aggressive thing we've done for sure.
Oh, wow.
And it's like kind of like, I wouldn't say we had stuff to prove at all, because I mean, I don't think we have anything to prove. But for me, it was very much like, I want to write a record that's going to be the most fun to play live. And for the fans too, like, I want to get in people's face and kind of throw it back old school, like all those hardcore t-shirts, you know, like dudes in the, you know, grabbing people by the throat and like, sing this, you know. I want that, you know, like that's fun. And all those bands sort of honestly like inspired me to do that. And, but you know, obviously in our way, it's never going to like sound exactly like somebody else, but it's cool. It's a lot of fun. Sonically, it's going to be really, really good. Yeah, there's just a lot of flavors, a lot of surprises for people coming. And it's also like really cool just coming off the back of Chroma and like re-recording and re-releasing that I don't know, it feels like, I said this the other day when I was talking about it, but it's like a wormhole where you take 20 years ago, we did this record and it was very, you know, obviously super consequential for our band. It helped launch us. And then we had a, you know, entire career behind that. But then now being able to re-record it and circle it back to now and like kind of, you know, finish the loop. And then be able to turn around and release another record off the back of it. You know, again, it's very, like, there's a lot of gratitude for the album, you know, for Chroma. But then being able to use that as sort of a launching pad for the next phase of Cartel is like, I don't know, I just think it's really, like, it's really neat looking back from like a 30,000 foot view.
What made you guys want to re-release Chroma? Because you redid everything, right? Mm-hmm. What was the mindset for that?
I would say it's 50% like practical and 50% like, let's just do it. I mean, I think Taylor Swift and all the stuff that went around with her was like really enlightening for a lot of bands. Like, she might be the most punk rock of all of us to do what she did, you know. Obviously has the power to do it as well. So for us, it really felt like, well, hey, like we're having these issues with being able to license and produce vinyl, which we've found you know, pretty good success at being able to do that. And you know, I think labels and you know, just various entities around that like hold rights to things, it's just becoming more difficult to get around it. So for us, you know, it was just like, this is going to be a lot easier to re-record it. Plus, like, you know, there's an opportunity for us to modernize the record a little bit sonically, like bring it to light. Cause you know, I'll do these like emo night, like DJ events, and you know, you hear the songs and they'll play our song up against a song that, you know, released like a couple years ago. And I'm like, damn, I wish it sounded better. Not that it sounds bad. It's just 20 years old and things sounded different than they do now. So like, just from a audio nerd aspect, I'm like, let's make it rip, you know, like let's kind of punch it up and get it bigger, louder, that whole thing. As well as bring it into like some of the versions that it's evolved into over the years, that just from playing it live. It's like even going back and listening to the record to reference things for the re-record, I was like, oh, I forgot we did it like that, because we haven't done it like that in probably 18 years since we've played the song 300 times after we recorded it, and it just sort of naturally evolved into something. So a lot of what people are used to seeing from us live is now on record. And a couple different things. I mean, Minstrel's Prayer got updated, and Q&A sounds basically the same. But there's a couple different areas in some of the songs where we were able to kind of do what we do now in Chroma, you know, perspective.
Right. Feel free to touch on this as much or not.
Sure.
But when you signed that contract 20 years ago for them to have that record, and now the industry's changed so much with streaming, do you get any streaming activity now, like revenue from that?
Yeah, but I mean, it's very, very little. I mean, we're fortunately in a position we've recouped like some of those deals, at least on publishing. So we do get some publishing revenue. It's not like life-changing money by any means, but
from those original contracts?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. But I mean, as far as like the mechanicals off of
who recorded and whatnot?
Well, no, from the actual label itself, like Epic versus like our publisher. Yeah, that won't ever recoup. Our lawyer was pretty good. Let's just say that.
Oh, wow.
We got ours up front.
Was there a big signing bonus at the beginning?
I mean, it's big when you're 20, but as an adult now, I'm like, damn, we should have got more. Like,
do you like burn right through that because you're just living on the road?
Between that and, you know, like not really thinking that like, oh, these checks don't really come around all the time. You know, like you're like, oh yeah, this is what I got paid this year, so I'm going to get paid that much next year. And then you go do next year and you're like, ooh, I didn't get paid that much this year. So you just kind of, you know, life's expensive and money goes away if you're not continually making it.
What was the most lucrative part? Was it your headlining tour? Was it playing festivals? Was it releasing an album for that like first month when it comes out?
I mean, the initial deals at the time, like the recording contract, not from the Militia Group, that obviously, I mean, it's a small label, they're not going to have the pockets, but like when we upstreamed to Epic, yeah, and then like got our publishing deal around the same time, like that was definitely like the largest windfall, which still isn't, like I said, it's not life-changing money, but it is at the time when you're, you know, digging 50 cents and trying to combine and see which half of the Wendy's cheeseburger you're going to split with your buddy, you know, like that, it is life-changing at that point, but it's not, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like we're sitting on investments and just like, oh man, just chilling.
Right. Was merch a big thing then?
Yeah, no, I mean, merch, like we always said, you can't download a t-shirt, you know, so like that's still the biggest way to support a band is buy a ticket, go and buy their t-shirts or whatever they're selling like that. Like I try to do that at every show. Even
that's like direct to them.
Yeah, because I mean that's the best way to fill their tanks, you know, because streaming revenue is like, I mean, it's a scam. You know, like from an artist, it's really not, like you're not making anything. But yeah, so I mean, if you do support a band, like that's the best way to do it is to buy a ticket and buy a t-shirt. And even if you don't buy a ticket, I mean, just like buy something off their website. That's even more direct because the venue's not taking a cut then.
Were you trying to push physical sales then for Chroma?
Yeah, I mean, we had boxes of CDs. Chroma was ripping pretty good in stores. So like, I mean, we still would sell CDs at shows, but it wasn't really like, not nearly as much as what we were selling in stores at the time.
But I mean, like, we got to get on the Billboard charts. Like, was that a thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. That still mattered like a lot.
To try and get that follow-up album.
100%. Yeah, just to kind of get the press and the promo around it, you know, for people to want to pay attention to what are you doing next, you know? Yeah, those kind of, you know, those numbers, those macros like mattered. And they may still matter, I don't know, but that was a big deal back then.
Right. Can we talk Band in a Bubble?
Let's do it.
I remember vividly seeing it. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. This band is recording an album in a bubble in New York City.
Yeah.
Was that a fun experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's really neat being the, you know, obviously the subject of the conversation, but seeing it from our perspective, it's kind of like being a fish in an aquarium, you know, like nobody really knows what that fish feels like. But we did have a lot of fun. We like uniquely, I think as a band, we never really like acquiesced to what they wanted us to do.
What does that mean?
Oh, so I mean, they viewed it more of like a reality show. Oh. And I think they were like, oh yeah, there's going to be drama. Because, you know, there's always like, you see documentaries and, you know, like a Metallica drama, right? And everybody's just like, oh yeah, like, you know, there's all this like inner band tension and like, you know, they're producing music and, you know, it's like the artistic strife. We didn't have that. I mean, we grew up, and we had gotten all those squabbles out of the way, like real early, like in high school, and because we kind of grew up together, and then we lived together for, you know, so many years before the bubble, that I think they were expecting a lot of drama. Like, oh, there's gonna be. It's like, no, man, we know how to live together. Like, we literally live together at home. There's none of this is different.
Yeah.
But you know, they would try to like, you know, invent controversy in funny ways, and even like some of the editing, like, oh my god, there's so many different things that go. I mean, I'll rip into it if you want me to.
Please.
There's a lot of stuff with it, but so like,
I mean, I'm sure people want to hear this. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, if anybody's seen the series, I mean, you can go on YouTube and look it up and watch it. I think most of it's on there, and then they have some of like the snippets. I don't know if you could watch it in order so it would make chronological sense, but I don't know if it made chronological sense in the first place.
Because the premise was you had to write an album in 30 days in a bubble where everyone in New York City can come and watch you and stare at you, and you're also being live streamed.
Yes.
No privacy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, no privacy too. Like there was some weird stuff where we like went in and our first you know, number one business priority when we walked in, like, we got to identify where all the cameras are. So we're like walking in, we're like, all right, there. Okay, cool. So like the actual main like living quarters, what you expect, right? And I don't know I think it was 24-hour live stream, but they might have shut the cameras down like when we actually went to sleep, because it's like, you know, I mean, maybe, I don't know, some doctor would be like, dude, Will's got sleep apnea, man. We need to like get him in, you know, in some studies. But like they had him in the bathroom, And we were like, okay, hold on, like where are these cameras at? And it had it in like there was a two-way mirror for the like a medicine cabinet style thing. They had one behind there so they could like see us getting ready. I'm like, okay, like I don't hate that necessarily, but whatever. Like people want to see us brush our teeth, like that's weird, but okay. But then they had one like it was sort of wide angle, and you could almost kind of see into the shower, and I was like, that's not cool. And of course, we had to like sit on the toilet, make sure we're not going to be exposed in that degree. So we were like, okay, there's no audio, thankfully. But we like had to check all that out. But we'd walk in and just like, nope, turn the cameras up, like just completely blow it up for them. We're like, we're not going to let you do certain things. Like that's a little across the line. But even one time, like our old bass player, Jeff, he like raged out because we saw the first episode in the bubble. So we watched it on the laptop that they had there for us when it came out. And we saw some of the creative editing that they used to like make certain things look a certain way. Like where I was sitting there playing guitar one time and somebody made a really dumb joke. And I like look over and I'm like, do the whole like, oh God, that was terrible. That face. And then they, chop edited that against like our drummer saying, he was just making a joke. He's like, I don't even really like any of these songs, whatever. And we were like, ah, ha, ha. And we just had a big laugh. But they chopped that in to like make it look like that's actually what he said. And I'm like giving him the look and we're like, that's bullshit. Don't do that. So Jeff kind of saw that and we were all kind of, a little perturbed. But we're talking about it. And obviously people can be seeing, they can see us talking about it, and that's not necessarily good for the brands, that were supporting it. So they cut the internet off so that we couldn't watch it. And Jeff like went full ham and like climbed up and like moved all the cameras into all this stuff. I don't think that was ever, maybe that was shown on the show, but I mean,
because that was all MTV, right?
It's all MTV. Yeah.
And it was sponsored by Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, and Walmart and Taco Bell and KFC.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean, like my father-in-law's in the restaurant side, so that's all like one, like it's Yum Brands.
Yeah,
that owns all that. So like they all just like jumped in on it, and so they just wanted to throw their name on. Which when we were approached with it, it was just Dr. Pepper, and then literally when we drove up in the Suburban, like to get out and walk into the whole spectacle, that's when we saw Walmart and the whole thing. Like we'd had no idea they were sponsors until then.
Did your label okay that, or they?
Somebody did, wasn't us. Yeah.
Overall, did you like the experience? Like, was it good for you guys to write an album in that bubble, you think?
Oh, we didn't write an album in the bubble.
No?
No, anybody who knows anything about like making music knows that one, writing songs in 20 days and then putting it out is crazy. I mean, even with the new album, like I was talking about, like, I mean, that's the fastest I've ever like run through the process. And that took 6 weeks, like definitely wasn't happening in 20 days. And I mean, Chroma had come out like a year and a half before that. We'd been writing like, all along Warped Tour in 2006, had wrote most of it. And that was not how we were initially approached either. This is actually a great story. We were just told it was like, yeah, we're just going to like have you come in and we're going to focus on 4 to 5 songs.
For Band in a Bubble.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. We just want to catch you like finishing the process and like really just kind of like highlight the band. Not one mention that like we're going to try to like encapsulate this whole thing and promote it as such. Because that makes us look like chumps. Like if I saw any other band, like, yeah, they're going to write and record an album in 20 days. I'm like, that's going to suck. It's also like we had a full orchestra. Like where did they, did you see a full orchestra come in? Nope. It's like just, the left hand not talking to the right hand sort of situation. But so I'm doing this is about a week before we go in, and we were playing a show in Greenville, South Carolina. I'll never forget this. And I had to step away from soundcheck because I had an interview with People Magazine, and I'm on the phone and, the pleasantries are exchanged, and she's like, so what's it going to be like to write and record an album in 20 days? And I was like, we've already finished it. What are you talking about? And the line goes dead. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I get a call from our manager at the time, and he's like, yo, did you not see that email? I'm like, what email? And he's like, so that they're promoting it. They're promoting it like you're writing and recording it in 20 days. I'm like, that is asinine. Like that makes us look really dumb, dude. He's like, yeah, we fought it pretty hard, but they were like, we're pulling the plug on the whole thing, or this is what it's going to be promoted like. So we got super strong-armed into it. So, we jumped back on, and the line went dead because major labels have your publicity dude like hanging on the line in case things get weird. They'd be like, no, that's off the record. No, don't do that. So that the line went dead because of that. But then we jumped back on, and she's like, okay, we'll just skip over that question. And I'm like, yeah, we will. We got to talk about that. But I mean, obviously there's nothing we could do at the time. It was literally the next week we were going in.
I had no idea that happened.
They've filmed like a lot of the stuff on the first episode. If you watch it, like the intros were like, oh, it's Will. Like, oh, I do this. I like this, or whatever they were doing for all of us. It was literally filmed in the studio while we were recording the record. Like they came to Tree Sound and recorded that in the Studio A lounge. So it was just like, are you guys daft? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of were. Let's just be real. I mean, this was the next best story is my wife. She's like the biggest tell it like it is lady, and I love her for it. But we would have like a secret area in the back behind like the bathrooms where we could take cell phone calls, do whatever, like just back there and just be off camera. And we were talking to our significant others, I was just engaged at the time, but we would talk back there, and they were like, we want to get that on camera. So we go out, and they had a house phone. They're like, yeah, we're going to do that. So she calls me, and I'm like, hey, we need to call this number. And she's like, okay. And she's coming off of a nursing shift, dealing with real life and real problems. And because she worked with babies in the NICU. So she's got literal life and death with like the most innocent people alive.
And you're drinking Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and I'm just chilling like, man, like, I don't know if I'm going to finish this song, like try, like just the least priority of anything in life. But so she calls, and she's like, and there's a camera guy like sitting right here, like 5 feet away from me, and I'm on the phone, and it's this like dimly lit situation, and it's like towards the end of the whole bubble experience, and it's supposed to be this whole like I'm proud of you sort of thing, like, oh hon, I can't wait for you to get home, things like that. And she's like, so why are we doing this? And I'm like, well, the producer thinks like this is like a thing we should be doing. She's like, oh, the guy who produced Yo Mama thinks this is a good idea because Yo Mama was a great idea. Which consequently, like the dude also did Yo Mama. So she just dragged him on this call, which like everybody in production, like they're tapping the phone, obviously. Everybody in production can hear it. The camera guy can hear it because he's got the headphones on, and he's got the camera like this. And, we kind of knew all the camera people like without talking to them because they were in there every day with us, and we're kind of like, handing them stuff like, oh, you need a snack, here you go, bro. Like, never talked to the people, but like had this like, understanding, this good relationship. And I remember like I'm sitting on the phone like this, right? And I'm talking to her, and the camera guy's over here, and she says that, and I go like, and I look at the camera, and he's got the camera over here, and his head's just like, oh my God, like trying not to like laugh and shake the camera, and everybody's dying. I can kind of hear in the headphones, like everybody laughing in the trailer. And I was like, yo, that was on camera. And she's like, I don't care. She's like, I just worked a 12-hour shift. I just want to say hi, and I love you. I'm like, love you too. I'll talk to you later.
Do we get it?
So good. Yeah. I mean, this is like all that sort of stuff is like the behind the scenes things that for us are really core memories and a lot of fun. And we did have good times, but yeah, it's just, you get some of the silliness around it, and you're like, wow, this is a spectacle. This is crazy.
Do you think it helped bring the band to a new level being like part of that?
We felt tighter, like we had been through something, like it's kind of like a running theme of all this, but like I feel like, yeah, we certainly got tighter knit as a band going through that. It was a little rough on us as a band because I think we got some new fans for sure. And when that record debuted, we had the highest like first week sales we'd had of way more than Chroma.
How far after the show did that album get released?
The show I think finished up like May 21st or something like that, and the album was released in August, like late August.
Okay, so there's hype around it.
Yeah, but they never even worked a radio single, which was crazy.
Did they just not want to put money behind it?
I don't know if they knew what they were getting. Like, again, like when we got upstreamed, like they didn't come and sign us. It was kind of a force like deal. Like we had triggered a clause in the contract that required Sony to bring us up from the independent label. So we actually had a choice between Columbia or Epic. And we went with Epic because it was like, dude, you put out Thriller. Like, duh.
Oh,
And,
that was the main reason.
well, I mean, not maybe we liked their vibe more than Columbia at the time, and Columbia had also just put out Acceptance and really like run that in the dirt. So we're like, well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to we're gonna go over here, and like they had Pearl Jam and Oasis, and we're like, all right, yeah, like this is our like we want Epic to be on the back of our records. I mean, it's silly stuff, but it's like when you don't have a choice, like what variables do you choose from, you know? So we did that, but then of course like the week after we signed the deal, the president resigns, like just retires, and then we get a new guy who like the first meeting I had with him, like I fly up to, you know, Sony office building in New York, you know, 60-story building or something. I go to like the 40th floor and, oh yeah, wait, you know, president will be with you shortly. I'm like, oh, okay. And like in this like, you know, fancy office. And then like, I, you know, walk in and he's got these giant speakers like blasting Honestly, and this little short dude like jumps up on the desk and he's like air guitaring in front of me. No one's in the room, just him.
Just the two of you.
Yeah, doors shut, and like he's just air guitaring to the whole song, just like jamming out, and I'm just standing there. I'm like, bro, like what is happening? Like this sucks. Like don't do that. I should have known then, honestly, but yeah, I think the labels just like don't. Like they didn't know what to do with us because they was just like capitalizing on the scene and trying to like jump into some of that stuff, which is like, yeah, we were, you know,
like a quick cash grab.
Yeah. Or just thinking that like, it's just something easy that's already working, and they're more like, you know, scavengers and excavators than they are like developers.
Right.
So yeah, they're just finding stuff that works and trying to jump in and, you know, take advantage of it and see if they could blow it up. And it's like, well, if it doesn't blow up, then like they can just go whoop and throw it off to the side and not have to deal with it. So like, you know, they look online and see like, you know, fans who are like, what was this? You know, which when we were presented with it, we're like, actually, that looks pretty cool. Like we get to kind of bring, it's like a, you know, real-time documentary. It was kind of what we were thinking it was going to be. And then fans get to see it and they're like, oh, well, they sold out. I'm like, I wish we got millions of dollars for that. I could sit here and go like, yeah, it was fine. No, we didn't get a cent off of it. Yeah, it all got absorbed by all the other entities like the label and the publishing, because they had to relinquish all the rights to Dr. Pepper to be able to use it. You know, so like I literally didn't get paid a dime to do that record.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even today, you still don't get anything from it?
Not a cent.
Wow.
Yeah. That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I mean, you live, you learn, man. That's where we come back around. And like probably, I mean, now the new record will make a lot of sense when you hear the lyrics.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
How far is the mastering done, you said, on it?
This just started mixing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we haven't even heard like the final versions yet.
Do you think you'll play any of those songs on the 20-year tour?
Maybe, I don't know. It depends on when it gets done and if we can like kind of release some stuff. I don't know, we're still kind of, we got plenty of time. We got plenty of runway. Like the band it's not just like coming back, like we're just getting started. So it doesn't feel like pressure to like rush into it. I would love to. I mean, I played a song acoustically at a gig here last Thursday. Mm-hmm. So like we're itching.
How was playing on Kimmel?
Oh, that was cool.
Are live shows like that fun for you?
They're a little nerve-wracking for sure, because you're like, ooh, better not blow it on live TV. Like Tommy Chong was on the episode that we did, so that was rad. We actually didn't get to meet Jimmy because he had like some other engagement, I think, but that was a really cool experience. And I mean, a lot of our bands in our scene have done that, so it was neat to just be a part of the club.
Was that like a bucket list kind of thing?
Sure, yeah. I mean, any late night performance like that. I mean, we were big late night fans. Conan, Kimmel, and I guess Leno. Like, we didn't really watch Leno,
right?
But so I mean, he wasn't really a big band guy anyway. But
were there any songs that really push Cartel to the next level?
Like from a career standpoint?
Yeah, like what in your eyes was that? I
mean, Say Anything Else, Madden, that was huge. Like that song didn't really get to work. I mean, that's honestly, that's another kind of feather in the cap of the bubble of things that it killed. That we were about to release Say Anything Else to radio, and honestly, it was doing really well. It was a top 20 single, and they were like, all right, yeah, we did a video for Say Anything Else. We're going to do the whole thing. And like, you got Madden like came out, I think like right around that time, or it was like really like kind of kicking into high gear. People were recognizing that we were on it. And they shelved the whole thing. They had a big radio promotion. It was going to go like land on like every radio station in the country just about. And they were like, well, we're going to pull it because the bubble Like, we don't want to like have this single and then completely step on the next record. And I was like, you really think that's a good idea, huh? It's things you just don't have decisions. Like, we could have broken up or like, staged a coup maybe, but like that wouldn't have gotten us anywhere.
Because it was just out of your control. They had.
Yeah. So they shelved the whole thing. So I mean, the video came out, but like that's it. Never got any radio push. So I mean, they just completely cut Chroma off on the legs when it was like starting to climb. Damn. Just to do the bubble. Yeah.
Do you wish you didn't do the bubble?
I wouldn't say that, only just from like having, a little bit more of a 20-year perspective and being able to say like, no, I mean, like, things are what they are and we can learn from them and move on. If I were going back and redoing it, I would have pushed it later and let Chroma do its thing. And then it probably would have been more impactful. Like, musically, that record is exactly what we wanted to do. There was no, like, the label didn't pressure us to do anything musically. So, I mean, I can say that album is, is 100% authentic from our standpoint. As far as like timing, yeah, I mean, I would have pushed it, probably at least a year and let Chroma do its thing. That would have made more sense, but here we are.
When you decided to stop, was that a hard decision for you?
No, it wasn't. I mean, we came off of our 10-year anniversary of Chroma, and my wife got pregnant, and that was kind of a really easy decision because I was like, look, I know how hard the grind is on touring, and I had always kind of told myself, like, if we have a kid, like, that's going to be the most important thing. So that hiatus was pretty, I mean, it was unannounced. We never officially declared it. It was like, yeah, we'll play shows, but like, we're really not going to tour. I mean, it was kind of a soft landing, as we came in. Like, 10-year Chroma was a great tour. That was a lot of fun. We did great with it. But then it felt like really like a natural time to just kind of pull the foot off the gas and, sit back and get ready to be a dad.
Right. With this new album, is it going to have a tour with it, you think?
Oh yeah. No, we're fully back. Like, we're going for it. My kid's old enough now where like she understands, like she came to when we were young and got to see us play.
Was that trippy for you?
Yeah. It was very full circle. It was funny because no, it wasn't that. We went to Taylor's. I took her to the Eras tour for a surprise after that.
Dad of the year.
I hope so. Man, like, that's got to get me some points, right?
Big points.
But so we had done all that, and I think she was able to kind of put, I mean, obviously, like, we're not anywhere close to Taylor Swift, but she was able to see a large group of people watch our band play, and because she had seen, she's like, oh, you're on YouTube? Oh, that's cool. And like, be able to see some things and like, all right, whatever. But that doesn't really mean anything, to her. So then getting to see it actually happen in real time. And I think like it kind of made her like understand a little bit more like what we had done, and what I do. So that was, I think that was a really cool moment to kind of be able to make all this new stuff make sense for her, because that's a really important relationship for me, obviously. Like, I don't want her to be like, oh, my dad just left me and I don't ever see him, and all that sort of stuff. Like, I want her to like understand and appreciate why this is the way it needs to be, because it's like my calling to an extent, besides being her dad. So it's cool that she gets it, and we get to have this new chapter open up while also having that chapter. It's like really grounding, and it just gives a new level of appreciation for all of it.
Did you do the production on this new album yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some help that we had. I mean, like the guy who produced our third album, Cycles, or co-produced it with us, who has so many engineering like credits and pedigree. It's insane. Like, we ended up.
What's his name?
Ross Peterson. He had worked under Rich Costey, who's a big time producer, and he had done like Jimmy Eat World Futures, but was the engineer on that, like Muse, like Absolution. I think he did Black Holes and Revelations. I think he was on that record. If Costey did it, he did it. John Mayer, like Continuum, he was on that one. So like, just a well-rounded, like, this dude knows how to make things sound good. We loved working with him on Cycles. I mean, that was such a fun record to make, and we ended up reconnecting because I was looking for some tracks for like building our live show. And I was like, hey man, you got these tracks for Cycles? He's like, no. I was like, well, what are you up to? He's like, oh, I live in Atlanta. I was like, what? You moved to Atlanta and you didn't tell me? He's like, oh, I mean, it was just kind of whatever. So like we ended up reconnecting, and so I did all the vocals with him. Went back to Nashville where I'd had a studio for like 5 or 6 years while I lived there. Went back to that studio, recorded drums. Because I mean, I don't have a setup at the house really. Like I just have like a little out. I call it the shed. It's not really a shed. It's a little ADU without plumbing. But go back there and like I did a lot of like the editing, and I tracked guitars back there, and got the album finished. And even our front of house guy does sound for us, who's really helped us out. Like, I mean, been very instrumental in Cartel coming back, I would say. Our live set is way better because of him.
When you guys figure that you're coming back,
yeah,
is there a big conversation amongst the band of where does everybody stand?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to very much lay out our intentions. Like, we're gonna do this.
Is this all in person?
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of happens naturally through conversations. I mean, there were no phone calls like, hey, like,
you back?
Yeah, exactly. There's no like, no commercials like that. But we, yeah, no, I think everybody, like, it's time. Like, we've all sort of kind of been able to do our thing and come back to like, all right, yeah, we want to do this. And like everybody's lives have sort of, like I said, synchronicities sort of lined up to make it work. It's really cool.
Was the bonds all still there? Like everyone knew their place?
Yeah, I mean, we had played so many just random shows here and there, like one-offs. Like we've done a couple cruises and done a couple festivals. So we've all kind of stayed in touch and had to stay on top of our game of like knowing how to play the songs and things like that.
Did you do the emo cruise?
We've done the emo cruise, yeah.
How's that?
It was really cool. Yeah, that was 2 or 3 years ago, I think. That was a lot of fun. I mean, we did the Andrew McMahon cruise last year. We did the Warped Tour cruise like back in 17 or 18, whenever that was. So, yeah.
What other singers are you friends with that you trade secrets with of anything? Like vocal secrets?
Honestly, a lot of the singer like camaraderie is talking about like, I mean, I'll just say this and just like, singers are by far the most delicate people in the bands. Mostly, there's a few exceptions now. People like get really precious, like, oh, I've got to have my throat spray, or I've got to do this, or I got to do this, or I'm on vocal restriction and things like that. And it's like, I mean, yeah, everybody's physiology is differently, so I can give a lot of credit to that. But like for the most part, people are just like, oh, I'm sensitive, So they play up the vocal thing a lot. And it's like, oh, I need this or I can't perform. It's like, yeah, you can. Just go out there and rip it. You're good. We're all a little bit insecure about it. But for the most part, no, I mean, there's really no like trade secrets that go around, because I think, we all respect what we do, and we all do it a little differently. So it's kind of finding like, how do you do it? It's like, how do you brush your teeth? It's like, well, it's hard to describe.
Right.
So
out of that whole Warped Tour scene, who do you think is the most talented vocalist? Pure talent.
Whew.
Or if you want to give me top 3.
That played or just
have played in the past.
Brendan Urie is by far the best singer I've ever heard. Just with what he can do, like the range that he has is insane. I know it's like a wild thing to throw out there, but the Frozen 2 soundtrack, doing that song Into the Unknown, like Idina Menzel is a crazy good vocalist, and like everybody knows that. But then you like throw him doing that song in the soundtrack, and you're like, and I only know this because I have a 9-year-old girl, right? But
I love that soundtrack.
Like insane vocalist, like the stuff he can do. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, everybody does what they do, like to their own credit, very well. I mean, I would say obviously Hayley Williams is insane. So talented. Gosh, I mean, Gerard from My Chem, crazy good voice. I mean, yeah, I would say that, I mean, those are obviously probably the biggest people I can name. Patrick Stump, he's kind of up there. They all have really good vocal talent, but I mean, honestly, when you break it down, like looking at guys who kind of switch back and forth between like screaming and singing, like that's really hard to do.
How come?
It's a completely different technique. And so to like blend it in together, like you either got it or you don't. I don't think you can train that. So it's like, I would say that's a gift in that sense. Like, I think, Chino from Deftones does it really well. Vic from Pierce the Veil, like, might be the best at it that I've heard. and I've just kind of recently gotten into Pierce the Veil with their new record. Past the Nirvana might be like my favorite song right now. But like he does that in that song. So if you want a reference of it, like go check that out. Cause it's like, he kind of blends like the singy talky thing into the scream. And you're just like, oh, I didn't even really notice it was happening. Like a lot of bands are really good at that. And that's hard to do because it's very tough on the vocals.
What other bands do you listen to now besides Pierce the Veil?
Heavy Rotation, 4 Year Strong, Story So Far.
What's your favorite story so far?
Song?
Album. And then song.
Proper Dose, favorite album, front to back.
Proper Dose's intro is just so good.
Dude, yeah. It's really good. I like it because it seems like I get really attracted to lyrics. Just from being a singer, like anybody can write a love song. Like to me, that's not really compelling. I mean, we've been married for 17 years, so surprise, you know? So when people get real and talk about like real, like living things that like, I think everybody can experience. And I think Parker on that record really like kind of bared his soul and talked about a lot of concepts. I mean, he was talking about like, I would say it's probably like opiate addiction or whatever that he was going through, that like, that's really tough, you know? And I know people who've gone through it and then like put it into words and like really, illustrate the experience, but like not from like a self-deprecating or even like self-congratulating sort of sense. It's just like, this is how it is.
It was pure.
It's just really pure and real. And I'm really like, I'm really attracted to that in music now. Like I want something real. I want people to like, no censorship, just like, let me have it. And that record does that. And like, it's like, melodically, musically, it's good. I mean, they've always been good at that.
They've been my top 3 on Spotify rap for the past like 8 years.
Dude, so good. I mean, Under the Soil and Dirt, like that's a great record. There's a lot more like relationship stuff with that. And there's obviously relationship stuff in Proper Dose as well. But like just the fact of being able to bare your soul a little bit and let people in, like that was really, I mean, that in and of itself is inspiring, just like, oh yeah, I can do that too. Cause I think people connect with that. And that's really what music's about. You want that connection. You want to like feel part of it in a way. And I think when you talk about concepts like that we all struggle with in various ways, that that's what really connects you with your audience and connects you. I mean, like if I can connect with it, like I imagine other fans can connect when I do the same thing. So that's where the inspiration comes from.
Lyrically, what's your favorite song you've ever done?
All the new record that no one's heard yet. If it's something that people have heard, I think there's different answers based off of like what the vibe is for me at the time, like different examples, but I think the coolest thing would be If I Were to Write the Song from the second album. Mainly because like that's a little bit more like a poetic thing, and it's a little bit of an oddball curve that we threw there with the song as well. But Tony Asher from who wrote all the Pet Sound stuff, and I'm a huge Beach Boys fan. R.I.P. Brian Wilson. He came to the Bubble and like actually got to read through those lyrics with me, and I was just like, yeah, like any edits, like where he's like, maybe here, like a couple little adjustments. But I think just like having that connection back through things, because like Pet Sounds heavily inspired our first 2 records. It was constant rotation for me. So that would probably be my answer, just because of that tie-in with him.
Can we go back to the Bubble?
Yeah.
How did you get Wyclef in there?
Our A&R guy at the time used to do day-to-day for the Fugees. And we were kind of looking for different features to put on the album. Like, yeah, it'd be really cool if we could do that. We asked Butch Walker, but he was unavailable. He had too much going on. And he's a Georgia boy, so we were like, oh, this would tie in really great. We got Peaches on a record, That didn't happen, unfortunately. But, always a fan of Butch. But then he was like, what if we get Wyclef? And I was like, okay, that's not the name that I thought you were going to throw out. And he's like, we could get Wyclef. He loves, like, collaborating with people. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we sent him all the tracks for Wasted, and he came into the Bubble and brought all the tracks like towards the end. And he had it was really funny because they wanted our bass player at the time, Jeff, to play bass on it. and some of us to do some guitar stuff just to have some collaboration. But they had basically finished the whole track themselves at his studio.
Wyclef's team.
Yeah, and Jerry Wanda is his bass player, which bass nerds will know his name, but he's a legend, insane bass player, and he was already on the track. And we're like, just no, leave that. None of us can do that. Please leave him on the record. But he comes in and it was really funny because we had this really the spot where we would also do phone calls that I was talking about earlier is also where we would go back to eat sandwiches and sandwiches, specifically sandwiches.
Okay.
And they had a vent so nobody could smell our sandwich being eaten. Sandwiches
get smelly.
They do get smelly
when you're eating them.
Yeah, exactly. All the oregano, it's really there's a lot of fumes that come off the oregano. But he goes back there and we all hang out, and just so that was a cool experience just to eat sandwich with
with Wyclef.
With Wyclef, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big fan of sandwiches. Loves them.
Had no idea.
Yeah, loves sandwiches. Had a great time with him, and then we go in the studio and he actually ate an entire sandwich in just one bite. It was crazy. I've never seen it before. It was insane. But then he critiqued our sandwiches, which was funny. Our sandwiches were not as good as his sandwiches. But then we went into the studio, and he dropped the whole he dropped the whole thing on us, and it was just really cool. His ideas around the song, because the song is really kind of more about wasting life and not having where people might feel they've wasted their lives or things like that. Just really taking advantage of each moment and every day, and sort of those sorts of concepts. And he was in the Caribbean culture, death isn't really seen as a somber thing. It's a celebration. We celebrate your life, not mourn your death in a way. Or that's how we mourn your death. And those sorts of concepts was really cool. So he put the whole reggae sort of ska thing on that song, which I would have never seen coming. And he did an awesome job with it. It was just really cool, and something that we could say Wyclef's on our record. And it's what, Wyclef's on your record? Yeah, let me show you this. I do that all the time, and people don't know who our band is. I'm yeah, we got a song with Wyclef though.
Everybody, he's one of your only features too.
Yeah. Yes, tough shoes to fill. You know? You gotta take a verse from Wyclef. Good luck.
Would you have any features on the new album?
Well, yeah, I think we don't have them yet. We're still kind of open to that, but
who would you want?
Gosh, Jeff Buckley, but he's not here anymore. He's my goat of all time on the vocal sense. But I think for us, it's really try to get people that we can help lift up, that they can help lift us up. Really more a team collaborative experience. I think this go round, that's what we really want to focus on is it's not about us specifically. It's about as a whole, let's highlight the scene and be part of a group and, build the network, and, it's all love for the crew,
Hell yeah. Well, Chroma anniversary tour this fall.
Yep.
Thanks so much for coming by. When's the new album coming out, you said?
It would be probably early next year, April, May-ish, something like that.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time, Will.
Dude, thank you.
This is awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
Of course, man.